The Genesis 6 narrative states that the Nephilim are on the earth in those days and also afterwards. If that's true, can we find evidence that corroborates this? I'm L.A. Marzulli. Join me as we go on the trail of a Nephilim. There is a hidden history that has been deliberately obfuscated from the peoples of the world, and that's why I am on the trail. Thanks so much for watching. Today, we are going to be in Ollantaytambo. We've left Cusco. We are in Ollantaytambo in Peru. This all happened in 2013. You'll see Brian Forrester there, and yours truly, L.A. Marzulli. And we'll get into that and so much more. But first, a word from our sponsor, My Patriot Supply. Global problems are having local consequences, too many of them. Take food shortages, for instance. Supply chains can break down at any moment, as we've all learned the hard way. And we've seen it. We're experiencing it in real time right now. That means now is the time to get yourself some emergency food from our good friends at My Patriot Supply. They're America's largest preparedness company with millions of happy, well-prepared customers. Let me just stop right there, folks. We've got cans in Oklahoma. We've got cans out here in an undisclosed location somewhere deep in the heart of the Santa Monica Mountains. So we love their product. It's great, and we're stocked up. My Patriot Supply food lasts for up to 25 years in storage. It's an insurance policy that you can eat. When you need it, it will be there. Act now and save $50 on a handy 4-week emergency food kit. The kit provides breakfast, lunch, dinner, drinks, and snacks, totaling over 2,000 calories a day. Every person in your family should have one of these. Go to my special website, preparewithla.com, and save $50 on each 4-week food kit you purchase today. That's preparewithla.com. Those who know what's coming are using today to prepare. Once again, preparewithla.com. So, first of all, when we went to the temple, we started at the bottom and we saw these huge megalithic stones with very strange, bizarre cuts in them. No one knows, if it's just a temple of the sun, which is what they call it. It's always a temple of the sun or a temple of the moon or this god or that god. But in reality, they have no idea what this thing was called or, in fact, who made it. The Inca have nothing to do with this. There's no doubt about that. So I'm going to roll the clip. We're down at basically the valley floor. This is called the Sacred Valley. I've been there several times. Every time I go there, it's just incredible. It has some of the most pristine stonework on the planet. In fact, I recorded a shot with Tim Alberino there. I'll see if I can dig that up and maybe show that later on in the week. But here's Richard Shaw's filming. He's at the base looking up, and you can see the difference in stonework, and I'll point that out in just a second. So let me just stop it right here.
And that again looks like what you imagine Egypt to look like.
So, and we'll go back to this in just a second, but you can plainly see that there's two types of stonework. Now, we talked about this in Cusco. Why is this relevant? Because this is, in my opinion, the fingerprints of the supernatural. So we got two possibilities here. If the Inca didn't do it, actually three. The first would be some lost civilization that was highly advanced, somehow just disappeared off the planet. We don't know what happened to them. Okay, maybe they were wiped out by a meteor or a plague or whatever. So the technology, we've never found anything, not even a single vestige of the technology which created these walls that you see. So this highly advanced, civilization that no one knows about just disappeared. That's number one. Number two, we were visited by an advanced race of extraterrestrials who built all these monuments all over the planet. This is what the Ancient Alien series promulgates every Friday night. The third, which of course is the paradigm that I hold on to, what we are looking at is fallen angel technology, Nephilim architecture. I'll say it again. Fallen angel technology, Nephilim architecture. So look at the stonework here. I mean, at the bottom, right here where my cursor is, That's the Inca. Look up on top. Look at the megaliths. Look at the cyclopean blocks into the hillside. First of all, let's walk through it. How do you get the stones up there without cranes? It's really steep, folks. In fact, there's a staircase. There's a shot that Richard has of me coming up the staircase. I'll see if I can find that tomorrow too. It's really steep. I mean, it's really steep. So you're looking at the stone here. The stone was quarried not too far away, but how did they get it there? How did they stack it here? So let's go on to the next video, which is right here. This is Brian Forrester on your left, and of course yours truly in 2013. That's almost, it's getting up there, right? 8 years ago. So actually 9 years ago. Wow, I can do the math. So going to do some saffron for you right now. So this is at the bottom, and Richard was there. He was filming up at that stonework, at the so-called Temple of the Sun. So here I am, and I'll show you the stone. It's still there. What are we looking at? No one knows. All conjecture. So I'll run the clip. Here we go.
This looks really cool. Anytime you're ready.
We're in Ollantaytambo, Temple of the Sun. At the base of it, this particular rock apparently has come from up there, which we'll get to later. I want to call your attention to the highly polished surface right here. Highly polished, and notice the right angle. And this is just one of these impressions cut in the stone. Here's another one, and there's more over here. And it begs the question, why all these holes and fittings and grooves and niches, and the other stones would fit into it. It's an interlocking network. Brian, what are your thoughts when you see this?
Well, the thing is, this stone is granite, and it's not local. It comes from across the valley and up the side of a mountain, which we'll see. That's the quarry site. The little flecks of white that you see in the stone is quartz. So it's highly piezoelectric, and so this stone was selected specifically to construct the Great Sun Temple, which we'll see up there. Some of the blocks are 40 tons plus. And the conventional story is that the Inca were building the Sun Temple and then for some mysterious reason abandoned the construction. But I think there was a massive cataclysm that destroyed it. And so some of these multi-ton blocks like this one tumbled down from the top to the present location. And the Inca who adopted this site couldn't use stone like this, so that's why it's been sitting like this for probably thousands of years.
Amazing.
The Inca built the entire network of other terraces and things around the Sun Temple. But we'll see very obviously that Inca construction is very different, and I have to say inferior to the work of the megalithic builders, which is what that whole area is up there.
So I'm going to stop it right there. You can see right behind Brian's head, that's all Inca work. You can see the stonework. I mean, it's a disparity between what this precision stonework that we see at Ollantaytambo and Cusco and Sacsayhuaman and other places, and this, I call it Inca slop affectionately. Brian talked about some sort of a cataclysmic event. Is it possible that what we are looking at is pre-flood architecture? It certainly is. So now we're back thousands and thousands and thousands of years, and something cataclysmic did happen and did blow that temple off the top of the mountain. And we'll show you more of a temple as basically tomorrow and the next day, whatever. But the bottom line is, fingerprints of a supernatural. Are we looking at a cosmic war? In my opinion, we are. Something happened there. No one knows what. The Inca, as Brian said, couldn't use the stone. It was granite coming from a quarry. You got 40-ton stones up on top and larger. How were they moved? How were they moved? Remember, there's no beast of burden in Peru. You go back thousands of years. But if it is fallen angel technology, if it is Nephilim architecture, and it is pre-flood, and Tim Alberino, by the way, believes it's pre-flood like I do. When you're standing at Sacsayhuaman, which is in a different area, obviously, than where Ollantaytambo is, different elevation, whole different place. That's up in Cusco. It's around 10, 12,000 feet above sea level. So you're coming down into the sacred valley here. Very, very interesting. But when you're moving stones like that, how was it done if there's no beast of burden? So you've got this enigma wrapped up in a riddle, you know, hidden in a deliberate obfuscation by the modern day archaeologists, if I can use that verbiage. Bottom line is this, folks. These are, in my opinion, the fingerprints of the supernatural. Do you remember seeing the control boards on the right and left of the seats for the Greys to use their 4 fingers to control their saucer? Possibly an induced pathway is installed in the stones, so the grooves recognize a finger with a ring. Tesla technology can make a change internally in materials. Andesite stone has varying degrees of quartz, which affects the way energy is transmitted internally when the stone is compressed or affected by vibration. And this gentleman, Jim Manuel, is talking about some of the stones that we see at Sacsayhuaman, at Cusco, with the holes and the grooves and everything else, and now here at Ollantaytambo. Let's continue. I don't think we have the ability to figure it out yet. I don't think mercury plays a part in the scheme either. Liquid mercury does behave peculiar, but not so much in the magnetic field in our present understanding. So we know that mercury was found beneath the pyramid Teotihuacan in Mexico. The Temple of the Sun. It's always the sun and the moon. They don't know what they call them. But let's just go with that. The Temple of the Sun at Teotihuacan was built by the Teotihuacanos. They don't know who the people were or the entities were who constructed this thing. It is the largest pyramid in the world. It's not height-wise, but base-wise. This thing is absolutely huge. I was there for one day. Do I want to go back? Oh, you bet I do. But with the current situation in Mexico, no thank you. And they discovered this whole underground labyrinth, which connects the Pyramid of the Sun to the Pyramid of the Moon. And an archaeologist was down there, and there's all sorts of skeletal remains and offerings. I mean, this tunnel lay basically hidden for thousands of years. So they don't know who built Teotihuacan. They have no idea who built Teotihuacan. They call them the Teotihuacanos, much like the Hopewell or the Adena. They just make up names. Bottom line is this. We know that mercury was found below that pyramid. Are we looking at something, technology, which we know nothing about? In my opinion, absolutely yes. Let's continue. Folks, if you're interested, please go to our site, streaming.lamarzulli.net, streaming.lamarzulli.net. What are you waiting for? We have 7 films. We're working on number 8 in the On the Trail of a Nephilim series. Folks, I am on the trail. By the way, we are coming on to the Jim Baker Network. We'll be more about that with links below in the text box soon. We'll be on there March 11th. We air Friday night, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. Pacific Time. So you want to check that out. It's called On the Trail of a Nephilim. We'll have a new website. It's called onthetrailwithla.com. Onthetrailwithla.com should be up and running next week. Folks, let's move right along. Eyes to See. March 17th to the 20th. I will be in Dallas, Texas. Hear the Watchmen Conference. What are you waiting for? Order your ticket now and get there. HearTheWatchmen.com. HearTheWatchmen.com. Hit LA20. That's the promo code. LA20. Get $20 off on the ticket. Hope to see you there. It's going to be a hoot. Anyway, let's get on to our UFO report. Something different here. I'm actually going to get into scripture after the second. After I get into this. I no longer identify as a conspiracy theorist. From now on, I want to be referred to as the guy who was right the whole time. I didn't write this. A fan of the show wrote it and sent it to me and made this, and I think it's great. And I showed it yesterday, but I'll show it again today. So here we have something that I've been talking about for decades. The idea of so-called alien-human hybrids, but they're not alien. They are fallen angels. So now you're looking at the mixing of the DNA. Well, that's preposterous. Is it? Why don't we turn to our Bibles? King James Version. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. SIV. International Standard Version. Just as you saw iron mixed with clay, so they will mix themselves with human offspring. Furthermore, they won't remain together, just as iron doesn't mix with clay. What are we talking about? The first time I heard this, and I always give credit, Chuck Missler once again. Chuck Missler brought this up when he was talking, this is in the 90s, and I was writing my first book on the Nephilim trilogy. I was penning it for Zondervan Publishing House. I wrote three novels, and in fact, it's right here. All 3 novels are in this huge book right there. In fact, let me just boast a little bit here. This is, without knocking my water over, thank you, this is the Nephilim trilogy. There it is right there. That's the Nephilim trilogy. All 3 novels are in here, okay? So I was writing the first one and researching the first one. I had been actually researching it for about 10 years, and Zondervan picked it up, and I wrote 3 novels for them. They changed acquisitions editors, so the second and the third novel really didn't get any type of PR at all. In fact, they were sort of embarrassed by it because it talked about UFOs and UFO phenomena. But I digress. So Chuck was talking about this in the 90s. Let's walk through the International Standard Version. Just as you saw iron mixed with clay, so they will mix themselves with human offspring. Furthermore, they won't remain together. Stop right there. Whose seed are we talking about? Who is mixing themselves with human offspring? Go up to the King James Version, right? They shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. Who is they? If it's not the seed of men, then who is it? Let's go back to Genesis 3:15, right? Your offspring, talking of a dragon, your offspring, right, will be at enmity at war with the offspring, the seed of the woman. Your seed, your offspring, talking of a dragon, will be at war and enmity with the seed of the woman. He, the one that was coming from the woman, the seed of the woman, the offspring of the woman, will be the Messiah who will crush your head. You will bruise his heel. Sets up the rest of the biblical prophetic narrative. That's it. It sets up everything. So now we get to Daniel, and what do we get? Just as you saw iron mixed with clay, so they will mix themselves with human offspring. Let's go back up to this. Folks, it's happening right now, which is why I call this particular show today, Mingling of the Seed. That's what it's called, Mingling of the Seed. Because what we are looking at, Jesus warns us, it'll be like the days of Noah when he returns, like the days of Noah. Folks, they're doing it. They're doing it. And in our film, let's go here, in our film UFO Disclosure, we talk about this. We talk about the mingling of the seed. We interviewed Al Matthews. If you've not seen it yet, open up the text box below. Open up the text box below, scroll down, free UFO film, watch it. You'll see and hear the account of Al Matthews, who had an encounter with one of these guys right here, a hybrid being, in our opinion. Now, you can think what you want. Why is this here, and why is it ignored? When was the last time you heard anything about this at church? You haven't. Guaranteed. They stay away from this because it opens up the can of worms about the Nephilim. Unless we understand the seed war. Gary Stearman was the first person I ever heard that talked about the seed war. When you get to a passage like this, you have no idea what you're looking at. Anyway, folks, thanks so much for watching. Remember, our UFO film, just go down to the text box, open it up, watch it. Check it out. That's all the time I have for. Thanks so much for watching. On the trail of a Nephilim, and of course, our very special ongoing UFO update. Remember, we'll see you on the air or in the air.
My name is Alan Matthews. I've seen a UFO.
I've seen a UFO.
And I saw a UFO.
A UFO.